All right. Well, here we go. Grey Cup weekend next weekend. And I got to say, on this podcast, I feel like Nick Arbuckle or maybe even Doug Williams coming in at quarterback just in time for the championship. That's right. I'm producing, and I'm here with Scout from the Elks Call podcast. Coming up next on the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. Hello and welcome to the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. My name's Oz Davis. I'm the co-host of the show, which this week is a bit of a misnomer because we're only half Americans talking about Canadian football, as I am joined by Scout from the Elks Call podcast. Now, Scout is also president and CEO of the Shotgun Sports Network, of which the Rouge, White, and Blue is a member. So I guess that makes him my boss as well. So let's have a big hand for Scout. Scout, how are you?
Hey, good. Thanks. Thanks, Oz. This is a treat, an honor. It's fantastic being here. It does feel very out of place for myself as well. And, hearing this president and CEO title, that makes me blush and even more nervous. Now I feel like eyes are even over here in a more concentrated way. But thanks a lot, man, for having me as co-host today. I think you mentioned something about a ratio here. That's
Yeah. We're just trying to make the ratio here with Joe on the IR. No, I joke. My typical co-host Joe Pritchard has he's I don't know, let's say he's not giving press availability as he prepares to depart for Winnipeg for Grey Cup week, really, up there. And so, as I said, I'm being joined by you, Scott. I'm glad to have you, dude. And I like the work you've done with Shotgun Sports Network, which we'll talk a little bit about later, because we're recording this on Sunday night, November the 9th, Sunday afternoon in North American time. And I just finished watching these games a few hours ago. I watched these games on delay this morning and this afternoon.
So you get the flash.
Right, because they were so long, and you can't miss any of this because both of these games were edge of your seat. Before I got into that, though, I wanted to ask you, Scout, haven't had you on the show before. So what was your take on the 2025 season in general? How will you remember this campaign?
In general, like for the CFL, right? For the entire league. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be remembered for maybe the wrong things. I think it will obviously be remembered for Saskatchewan's brilliance on the season. BC kind of surging, right? The East, the Toronto Argonauts finally being knocked down a peg. Winnipeg being knocked down a peg. I think it'll be remembered for, those are the positives. But then, of course, Stuart Johnston's announcements about 26 and 27, I think it'll be remembered.
Wow.
Groundbreaking, right?
Okay, but that's not the football. That's not the season itself. And it's interesting that you note Saskatchewan's excellence because I don't know, excellent. I don't know. Very, very, very good. But, I mean, how long was every team live in the West this season? Right? I mean, you had a situation where, and I don't think I've seen this in the CFL. It's happened many times, so maybe the sports books are learning. But Montreal, the 10-8 team, was the favorite at Hamilton in this playoff game this week. I don't remember the last time that's happened. We've had lots of 10-8, 9-9, 8-9-1 teams win this game in the East.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen them as the favorite before.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point because the East is generally a toss-up. And Hamilton had a great record, but it kind of comes down to your final stretch of games, right?
Right.
It comes down to that momentum. We've seen it time over time. 2015 Grey Cup, 10 years ago now. It feels like a far distant memory, Oz. But 2015, the Double E were charging into the playoffs on like a 7-game winning streak or something. So same deal. Montreal, they had a bit of a streak. BC, they had a streak. I genuinely thought that both away teams could have walked away with the win in both of yesterday's games.
Well, I mean, they're both 2 points, and I brought up the sports books before. Check this out. This was, I mean, do you play the games? Do you bet?
I do fantasy. I do see
fantasy.
Yeah. So, but I do keep an eye out on the lines. The Double E posts them every week, and betting is kind of hard to avoid now, isn't it, Oz?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always enjoyed doing so, but I've rarely had enough, disposable income, shall we say, to actually do it. One of the secrets to betting, I think I've even said this on the show before, is look, if you're going to bet $200, just psychologically say to yourself, okay, that money is gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If I win, great. If I lose, I'm not going to be heartbroken. I already spent it. That's it. It's gone. That's it. And don't chase losses.
More people need to think like that, Oz.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the only way to do it. You can't play this stuff otherwise. But the wild thing that happened and I got Saskatchewan -3, and I got Montreal -3, and I pushed on both of them. And all day today, I've been trying to think of the analogy. If a tie is like kissing your sister, what is a push like? And the best I've come up with is it's like being stood up on a blind date.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not like you wanted to do it anyway, but it's not like you gained anything. So.
Yeah, you weren't really losing much, right?
Right. You didn't lose, but you didn't really win either. So in any case, actually, if you take the throw the money away mentality, you did win.
Yeah.
So I'll take that win. But yeah. Wasn't too difficult to predict, I thought, this round. But was exciting how we got there. We started with Montreal Alouettes 19. Hamilton Tiger Cats 16. And I saw that at the Alouettes official site, they named the kicker the most valuable, the player of the game. Our boy Santos Diaz. Yeah. As player of the game. So that was nice. But okay, my first note here is, where was this kind of pass coverage by the Hamilton defense all season? Like in the first half, I have it right here. Davis Alexander was 9 of 15 for 78 yards and took 1 sack. Now, Hamilton has been giving up 30 points a game this year. They've almost been as porous as BC defense.
Well, exactly. And then
what was this game about?
Pulled it out of nowhere, right? I don't know if it was an extra week that kind of helped them. Maybe they were a bit dinged up. I don't know. Maybe Hamilton just matches up better up against the Alouettes. I didn't see their previous games against each other. What was the record on that?
We won both, as far as I remember. That's why Hamilton had to win that final game,
right?
Because we had the tiebreakers. So we caught them at the right part of the season, was the thing. We didn't catch them in that 6-game losing streak when we were playing quarterback roulette again. My God, you were talking about 2015. Pretty much since 2015, we've been playing quarterback roulette until we got Cody Fajardo in there. your boy now.
Yeah. Well, and even then the wheel spun again, right? Except for the fact that Davis Alexander came up.
Yeah, but it was a choice. It was a choice. This was not, Johnny Manziel. This was not Rakeem Cato. We had a choice here. We knew he was coming. We made the conscious decision to do this. And
I will always believe that that's the best way to build your team. You get a viable prospect, somebody that you can truly form to your system, because they formed Davis Alexander over into basically an enhanced version of Cody Fajardo. They took his place, said this is the model quarterback, do it better, right? Work this guy out of a job, which eventually he did. MBT is never going to take Alexander's job. There's no way.
No. McLeod Bethel Thompson is a backup quarterback at this stage in his career, and he wasn't very good as a backup quarterback this year. As they said during the game, the Owls were like 3-8, I believe it was, without our man Alexander Davis, who I don't know if you've heard, but it bears repeating. He's now 13-0 as a starter. Have you heard this?
Yes, I do know. Crazy streak, because he was injured for a bit, came back. That doesn't affect that at all. I mean, if he's injured, the guy can't play. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see his streak continue. The streak continues, and he has an opportunity to cap it at the Grey Cup. Now, kind of getting back to this last game, he didn't exactly have the greatest passing stats either. We're talking 210 yards on 26 completions or on attempts. Sorry, can contrast that to Bo Levi Mitchell, 269 on 36 attempts. So this last game, Hamilton versus Montreal, like you said, the passing wasn't necessarily the key.
Nope.
I think it's Stevie Scott. I would say Stevie Scott.
Here's the thing.
After in that game,
here's the thing. Here's what happens when Davis Alexander is not on this team. Okay, first of all, on the offense, it's obvious. The whole offense was built around, again, they saw this coming. They lost Cody within like a week, I think, of Toronto winning the Grey Cup. They jettisoned him. They said, you're out. I mean, how long was it before Edmonton had him? I mean, you guys got him in what, December?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was fast. And so they were ready for this guy. So they set up the whole offense around him. The running game doesn't even work because it was such an Alexander offense. You put anybody else in, it's just not built for them.
Right.
Never mind Caleb. Nobody would work in this. Well, few would work well in this offense because it's built for, and Davis has unique skills.
Yeah.
He's not the fastest guy. He's not the most accurate guy. He's not the longest distance guy, but he's an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in all of these. I mean, in this game, he had 64 yards rushing. Top rusher was 66.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that he does remind me of a Michael Riley. He does remind me of that well-rounded quarterback who isn't boss dog in any stat, in any stat. He's not top of the chart specifically in any stat, but the guy can do it all. He can rush, he can fake, he can read, he can pass, he can scramble. Like Davis Alexander, as far as I'm concerned, we're looking at a 10-year run, and his next contract is going to be potentially a $500,000 to $700,000 contract. Like, he has an opportunity to hit that elite level, and it all starts with this next game. Obviously, this past game, it was very situational, but carrying the ball 7 times, getting 64 yards out of that, on top of the 210 yards passing, even though he did throw an interception, he went 1 for 1 on the TD ratio. He still gave the team more of a chance to win than less. And that says something.
Yeah, again, like the Ticats defense was awesome. They were covering everybody. I've been talking lately about all the weapons we have in the receiving core. I mean, we've got the best 1 through 4 in the league in
Yeah.
Montreal, period. Hands down. That's it. No one is going to touch us there. But, they were just like super, super covered in this game. But I'll tell you what, the key is, and I'm going to talk about this a bit later because I think we're in for a hell of a nice defensive Grey Cup, is that, man, look, Hamilton, I mean, did you see it? Hamilton was breaking out the crazy shit.
Oh,
They
yeah.
started the game. They started the game with the hurry up offense. That was the first drive. Okay. Montreal wasn't buying any of that. 3 and out, 4 play,
Yeah.
4th play being the punt. Okay, fine. In the first quarter, they did a flea flicker. 4 or 5 yards, which, by the way, that's often what that gets to. Or that's often what that gets if you have to go to the halfback, right? And then finally, like later on, they did this variation on the double reverse, and they took a loss. I mean, Montreal was not having any of it. This defense, when it is clicking, is one of the best defenses I've seen in the CFL. But no surprise. I mean, Noel Thorpe is the best CFL defensive coordinator I think I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate to have him for a couple years, 1 or 2 years, or in different stints, whatever, with the Double E. Unfortunately, when he was here last, the team in general wasn't clicking. The personnel wasn't right, X, Y, Z, right? So Noel Thorpe, good for him for getting to another championship caliber team. He's building something great there. And the fact that they didn't flinch, because how easy is it to completely lose your bearings? Oh, also Montreal is missing a couple of players, right? The Sean Oakman release. I'm not going to get into the minutia of that right now, but that was something that was considered a big negative for the Montreal Alouettes. So the fact that they were able to elevate on top of some adversity, it's just, you love to see it. And great defensive coordinating. It's great that Noel Thorpe didn't flinch, didn't let, any of those 3 plays that you'd mentioned, he didn't let any of those up or give up big chunk yardage.
No.
That would have been a turning point, right? Like if Hamilton would have capitalized on any of those plays, any of those 3, do you think that would have been a turning point?
The one time that they tried for the big play, picked off.
Yeah.
Picked off at like the 3 or the 4 yard line. Done. I mean, that was their one shot, realistic shot at a long touchdown. That was it. And you talked about how they kept composure. Who didn't keep composure, and the TSN crew was all over this, and they ended up being dead correct. Jordan Murray blew up, right? Nice return by Isaiah Wooden. Takes it back to the Montreal 35. First, he gets an unnecessary roughness on Sankey, who had been beating him up the whole game. And then there's an unsportsmanlike conduct. Oh, and by the way, it's about 2 minutes left in the half.
When he whipped off his helmet and threw it, I believe.
Right, exactly. Unsportsmanlike conduct. That's one of those obvious calls, right?
Yeah.
Well, you did that. You're done. That's it. I mean, he's lucky he didn't get what I like to call a yellow card when they say one more infraction and he's out of the game.
Yeah. I think it's automatic. If you have 2 unsportsmanlikes, I believe it's automatic, right? So it is kind of like yellow card in that sense. But
in this case, I mean, Jesus, I feel like it could have. I feel like they could have pitched him because he got the unnecessary roughness and then the unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, I feel like but I'm biased, right? But in any case, the Ticats' last drive of the first half was 7 plays for 14 yards. And they had to settle for the field goal. And then Montreal was able to answer with the field goal. And at half, Milt Stegall and everybody else was all over this. They're like, this could cost them the game. And sure, points are at a premium.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the halftime score? 6-3? I mean,
it was super tight. It was super tight. And I mean, we've seen it in the playoffs before. Usually it happens after the game. I believe the great Hamilton and Toronto incident at BMO Field, or the players with the fans, right? So that's the playoffs. We do expect to see heightened emotions, but come on, man! Literally, keep your lid on. I mean, one job. Right. Not hurt your team, right? And what are you doing in that moment by acting like a giant baby because a play didn't go your way or because something didn't get called or whatever? And he's standing right beside a ref. If that helmet hits the ref, he's instantly gone.
Oh yeah.
Bad luck.
Well, so, if he had seen a ref, then he might not have done it. But who knows? He was seeing red at that point. He was seeing red. Yeah, I mean, it happens. Yeah. I mean, this is road rage, right? This is one of those moments where you see red. Oops, too bad. Might have cost them the game. Although to say that would again be to take away credit from the Montreal defense, which was really the key. They did not allow Bo to get the big play, and that was the main thing that had been powering this Hamilton offense for most of the season. But wanted to go back to the original point. I've done this on this show before, but people have got to realize this. As these playoffs in all North American sports get extended, it only matters who's hot at the end of the season, right? It is no coincidence. In this respect, it's kind of surprising that BC did not win because they had been carrying the longest winning streak, literally. The Owls have won 6 in a row significant games, right? So they blew the last game because they're playing their second string. But BC had been on an 8-0, 9-0 run.
Yeah.
After Calgary. And so in theory, it should have been them. But generally, it doesn't matter. The hottest teams make the championship. That's it. NBA is a little bit different. But almost anything else, NHL, CFL, NFL especially, Major League Baseball especially, I mean, who's ever the hottest wins. Period.
Which is why we saw the Toronto Blue Jays make it up there so far, right?
Of course. Toronto, Colorado. Look. I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. Okay. Oh. I remember Rocktober. Okay. Yeah. Literally, we compiled one of the greatest streaks ever. 26-1. And then the Red Sox and the Indians drew out to 7 games. We had an 11-day break before the World Series. It was the biggest ever, and we got smoked by the Red Sox. We got smoked. We lost the first game 1-0, and then it was over. We got smoked. It's just
momentum is everything in sport, right? And that's why. Kind of getting back to the BC point, it is really interesting. If I was a betting man and if I had money on the games yesterday, I would have been betting BC.
What is it BC? Wow.
Well, because they have that momentum. They just came off of a killer win at home. It was a good tight one against Calgary, right? They had the momentum. Now, I think where I was worried for them was obviously giving up 30 points against Calgary.
Right.
So, you knew that the cracks were there in the foundation. But more times than not, if your team is streaking like that, which makes it even more impressive that, when 2015 Double E ended up doing it, it was off the heels of 2 backup quarterbacks in James Franklin and Jordan Lynch. Enter Michael Riley to finish off the season. So it kind of looks like that also in Montreal. It does look like Davis Alexander has returned, and now he's marching towards the finish line. The difference is that in BC, we didn't really – I think Nathan Rourke might have been injured for, 1 game this year or something if he was. He had a pretty good streak, but it's not quite the same story. Yes, they are streaking. Yes, they've defeated good teams in this streak. But the BC Lions, I really did think that they had that type of momentum to carry them towards a championship game. I think in their case, if we're going to look at it, Saskatchewan, and I know we're going to talk about this in a moment, but Saskatchewan, with the building, with the hype, obviously wearing their retro jerseys. They have the best record in the CFL. They are number one in the entire CFL this season. We have seen 16-2 teams lose before in the final games or in the Grey Cup. So it's not like they are untouchable by any means. But
we've seen them losing the playoffs on the way to a Grey Cup championship, in fact.
yeah.
What was that? Wasn't that the best record of all time that the Argos ran up in the CFL? Or they tied for the best record ever?
They tied the double E, yes.
But they didn't get hot at the right time. You'll recall that year that they wrapped up the East with like 4 or 5 games left, or at least 4 or 5 weeks left in the season. And so they were just coasting, and you could see it. And then they had the bye. It's just like you could see it. They were colder than, Winnipeg in January. I mean, they were freezing. They were just like, that's what happens, especially since these seasons are so freaking long. Baseball is 162 games, and now they've got 4 rounds? I mean, who cares what you do in June?
Yeah.
Same thing with the CFL, for that matter. Who cares what you do in June? Hamilton was averaging 40 points a game at one point. So they weren't there. And that's the thing. Let's get into Saskatchewan Roughriders 24, BC Lions 21. That was the thing, is that last week at Calgary, and you had been seeing this in the previous few weeks, this BC Lions offensive line is getting destroyed. They were getting smoked. The characteristic of that Calgary game was that Nathan Rourke was constantly under pressure, constantly having to throw out of duress. Now, in this game, Rourke wasn't too bad. Let's see. I have his stats here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. 20 of 30 for 290, 1 of 1, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But, even 290 coming from Nathan Rourke is not going to blow you away. Despite the nifty little shovel pass to Butler there for 15 yards, which was amazing. That was like the Eli Manning.
Yeah.
He's done. No, he's not. He's down. No, he's not. Shovel pass. Touchdown. No, not quite a touchdown.
Or even right down the final hook and ladder, right? But seriously, 290 yards, and you make a really good point here, Oz. 290 yards out of Nathan Rourke in a playoff game, I don't think is going to win you the playoff game. It's not going to punch your ticket to the next one.
This is a team that since week 5 has been averaging 35 points a game. But recently, and again, in that, but they've been allowing 31, 32. Yeah. Now, in that Calgary game, you saw 33-30, so slightly under in both. But the point is that Rourke was getting harassed. He was constantly moving around. In this game, again, his best play was because the pocket had become non-existent. The pocket had become a black hole.
Yeah.
BC in this game had 8 3-and-outs. I mean, they just couldn't stay. And that was the thing. I called this before the game, and I'm hardly a genius. I mean, the Riders' pass rush against this offense just isn't going to cut it. And that's more or less what happened. Although Saskatchewan wasn't too aggressive. At any point, were you solidly convinced that either team was going to win this game?
Well, yeah, I don't think so. You knew that it was going to go down to the final 3 minutes, I think, as you were watching it, right? And it was a defensive battle. I mean, total score, we know that it's, under 25 for both teams, right? This wasn't necessarily a massive points game like we saw BC versus Calgary. No, I wasn't convinced either team was going to win. I didn't know exactly who was going to win this one. But I will say, and I mean, I'm not a genius myself either here, Oz, and I'm not Miss Cleo. I cannot predict the future or anything like that. But we can watch the storylines and we can try to predict a storyline. And this one on our latest episode of the Elks Call, I said that I was watching for the corners, the DBs for Saskatchewan. I wanted to see the interceptions. I want to see the broken plays, shutting down BC's big chunks, right? Trying to eliminate the major plays. And Saskatchewan's defense as a whole, man, that was the story to watch, I think, overall. What would you say?
Yeah. Well, Trevor Harris is your quarterback. And we talked about this before the show. One of the stats that they were going gaga over in the booth at TSN was Trevor Harris has now passed for 4,000 yards for 5 different teams in the CFL. Now, that's pretty wild. On the other hand, has he ever gotten close before? I mean, we talked about this before the show. Yeah, okay, with Ottawa. Right, sure. Arguably, we can put that onto his receiving core because, man, he had a lot of good targets that year.
LA Sin, Sinopoli, the list goes on, right? Yeah.
But, well, I mean, the Riders bent the Lions to their will, basically. Yeah. The Riders played the game they wanted to play. Look, the game started 1-0. I promise you, 19 Riders games this season have started 1-0. I mean, I don't know how this happens. They always start with the Rouge to do the Riders. Okay. 7-4 at half. Now, Riders are kind of playing with fire here because all season long, BC has been like, the old car. It takes a while to get going. It takes a while to get up to, 100 km per hour.
But the brakes aren't very good either, and it takes a lot to slow down that.
No, right? But you do not want to be in the way of it. And this is typically BC, right? It takes a long time to get warmed up. I mean, I remarked about this last week. It's strange to say, but BC has yet to play with urgency all this season, it feels like. In this last game against Calgary, yeah, sure. Came back in the clutch, marched down the field. Great, good. All right, great. First time I saw it this season, and I didn't see it this game. I felt like I didn't see it this game, because most of the scoring they did was in the third quarter, BC, right? So I can talk about that in a minute, but actually, the fourth quarter, I should say. It was the Riders that dominated the third quarter. So playing with fire a little bit, but, you saw it in the third quarter. You got to love that first drive. 4 passes out of the shotgun. The next one, finally, BC figures it out. So Harris runs it for the first down. Then they start giving the ball to AJ Ouellette, which is classic Rider football lately. It's just like, man, after these guys are softened up a little bit, then hit him with Ouellette a bunch of times because this guy, he doesn't know fourth gear.
Well,
he only has fifth gear.
Exactly, fifth gear only, but he also was stifled in the first half of the game. Like, I didn't see him making major plays. It's when they needed to wear down BC's defense as a whole, wear down that defensive line. Saskatchewan was very methodical in that, I think.
Sure, absolutely. That was the thing. I mean, they're methodical to the point of conservatism. I mean, okay, let's just get right to it. What about it? 2:45 left in the ball game. Okay, you've got 3rd and goal on the 5. So you kick the field goal, right?
I mean, me as a coach, if I'm playing Madden, I'm going for it. Like, it was very, very interesting. And it seriously did remind me of, once again, Double E 2019 or 2018, Jason Moss, when you need a touchdown, you got 2 minutes left or less than 2 minutes left, and you go ahead and you kick a field goal where you need a touchdown. I thought the game was done for Saskatchewan at that point. I'm out in my shop. I'm working away on a arcade machine, and I'm watching, and they kicked the field goal, and they made the bet on the defense. And I would say out of any team in the CFL that could get away with this right now, it's going to be Saskatchewan with their defense. Their defense is championship caliber, in my opinion. So, yes, they did it. At the same time, I'm like, man, I've seen this story happen before time and time again in the CFL. And I truly believe that these guys are going to screw it up just like everybody else did. And they didn't, Oz.
No. That was the thing. But see, what I don't get is this. All right. So it's 2:45 left, right? So you need a 2-and-out out of your defense, maybe even two 2-and-outs, right? Okay, but you're 3rd and goal on the 5. So if you're depending on your defense to do it from like the 35 or the 40, why are you not depending on them to do it from the 5?
That's
right? Are you that much weaker when you've got the opposition pinned against your goal line so as to want to give them 35, 40 more yards? Really? I mean, in the end, it turned out okay. So what do I know? But still, and fair enough. I mean, BC was getting 2-and-outs all over the place. I mean, again, 8 2-and-outs by BC. There were runs of 3-4 games when they didn't have 8, 2-and-outs, this season. But so I guess it makes sense either way. But I don't know if I would have done it. And in Madden, the stakes are lower.
Yeah,
fair enough. But
you would have went for the touchdown, right? Or would you have
probably? Yeah, of course, that's your instinct, right? But then again, I'm more, I'm probably thinking like an American, because 2:45 3 minutes in Canadian football is a lot longer than 2:45 3. The clock stops.
Yeah,
the clock stops, which is why I'm totally against the 3-minute warning in Canadian football. But I guess in a few years it won't exist anyway.
Well, it won't really matter with the play clock and everything else, right? We'll see what Mr. Johnston and company have this next year for rule changes and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be a lot like the NFL. I suspect. Okay, so all right. How about, real quick, going forward for Hamilton and Bo Levi-Mitchell, as we discovered on the show last week, is 35. All right. Hamilton Tiger Cats going forward and BC Lions going forward. What do you see?
Yeah, let's start with Hamilton. Bo Levi has wanted to join the TSN panel for a hot minute, and I think
no way. Are they going to get rid of Luke Wilson? Are they going to lose Luke Wilson?
I think a lot of people would like that, but I don't think so. At least he's bringing the hottest of takes to your Twitter feed and everywhere else. But Bo Levi, I think even more than wanting to join the panel, I think he wants to retire. Now, this is where there's a moving piece in Edmonton that would benefit Hamilton. I think that Trey Ford, if given the opportunity, he would love to go home to Hamilton, so to speak. That is his home stadium, right? Technically speaking, this is in Waterloo area, so Kitchener-Waterloo. So, do I think that is a route that Hamilton could go? Sure, but without Bo Levi-Mitchell, I don't think that they're in this position again. And I think it's going to take some coaxing to get Bo Levi-Mitchell on board for another year. Do you get him a proven apprentice? Do you get him somebody that can truly learn off of an elite and be that next step forward, much like the Michael Riley to Nathan Rourke, Cody Fajardo to Davis Alexander, Tom Wilkinson to Warren Moon? You need that connection, right? You need that pipeline to continue. So Hamilton now needs to find the quarterback that they are going to invest into and bring up. But I do not think that Hamilton is in a playoff position without Bo Levi-Mitchell. I mean, the guy is a journeyman of the sport. Obviously, last year didn't quite go his way. I believe an injury had a lot to do with that. This year, I think he finished off this game slightly beat up. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, I mean, he's going to ponder. If they want to return to the playoffs, they need to keep him next year, but you do need to have an apprentice. And then that's, of course, if he wants to return. So they're heading into the land of uncertainty. They want to continue with a lot of these pieces. Some of these players, Greg Bell, Smith, there's quite a few on that team that provided, memorable moments and, of course, competitive talent. You take a look at the Kenny Lawler scenario as well. Bo Levi to Kenny Lawler was on almost automatic this year. So I think Hamilton is heading into a land of uncertainty. I think that the BC Lions, they're going to be in a great spot. They're going to be competing for first or second in the CFL West next year. It's going to be a dogfight in the West, but I think that they have most of their pieces together. They obviously need to work on that defense. And, just kind of build on the offense, maybe get Nathan Rourke one or two more pieces, fix up that O-line a little bit. But I think the O-line was relatively good. I think the defense got tired over as the year went on. I think that that defensive line was a major reason why they struggled, especially you could see at the end of this last game. So BC's in a really good position. Buck Pierce, first time head coach this year, or first year with the BC Lions anyways. Think he did all right. He needs to build his programs a bit more and let his program blossom into that second year, much like the Edmonton Elks are, kind of doing the same thing, except BC's light years ahead. They are well ahead in their rebuild or retool. But yeah, I think Hamilton, out of both of those teams, I think Hamilton is the one that's going to struggle a little bit more, especially with the passing of Ted Gabaya. That's really devastating. And, now you're going to have a little bit more uncertainty in that area as well. So, yeah, I mean, Hamilton's going to struggle, I think. We'll see what they do. Yeah. What are your thoughts here, Oz?
Oh, well, I was just thinking about that's pretty depressing for Hamilton because, before these games, I was thinking, okay, so you have BC, you have Saskatchewan, and you have Hamilton. These teams have not won the Grey Cup in a while. And then you think about it a little bit more, and you think about it. So basically 5 teams since Mike Riley, 5 teams have dominated the Grey Cup, right? You've got Calgary and Winnipeg, and then you've got Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. That's it. And I mean, we're not even talking about winning the thing. We're talking about just being in it. In the past 10 years, those 5 teams have been in all the Grey Cups.
Well, and Hamilton has been in striking position.
Sure, of course.
Years, right?
Jesus, I mean, remember when they had Zach Collaros and they won 8 or 9 in a row and they were scoring 40 points a game and everybody thought this was, the undefeated CFL team? Imagine that. And then, Zach Collaros goes down and pretty soon he's on Winnipeg.
Yeah, Zach Collaros goes on a tour, makes it through Saskatchewan, makes it through Toronto, I believe, again, made it through a couple of teams and somehow makes it into his perfect scenario. And, that's where right now for Hamilton, like Bo Levi Mitchell, he is the perfect scenario for them. It's tough to say if that's the perfect scenario for him, but yeah, and you're right. It is sad. I did want to see Hamilton return to the Grey Cup. Like it would have been
Hamilton versus BC would have been a great narrative for the league. You have the guy who they want to be the face of the CFL, Nathan Rourke, versus the guy who dominated the teens. Until Winnipeg came up, Bo Levy was the Tom Brady of the CFL, and the Stamps were the Patriots of the CFL. They were. They were. I mean, what? They were in the playoffs 20 straight years?
It's terrible.
20 straight seasons? I mean, and they were a contender in most of those seasons too, and from the instant Bo was there, he was the Davis Alexander of his time. From the instant Bo was there, they were winners. He was a winner, and it's wild. It's wild. They've managed to shut out ever since the Riders got redemption for 13 men, they've been non-existent. When we started this show, they were a joke. They were terrible for a couple of years. Absolutely barrel scrapers. and so that's bad news for Hamilton. I'm not sure. I think that Hamilton has, at least on paper, a more viable chance because the East is pretty sad. I mean, you have to assume that Toronto will resurrect somewhat. I mean, that defense just awful. It can't be worse next year. And presumably they'll solve the quarterback situation. There's probably no hope for Ottawa, however. So in this respect, at least Hamilton has the further starting mark, let's say, on the track. But on the other hand, yeah, BC is not. I mean, BC has got to be considered a contender next year. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they finished in fourth. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished fourth and Winnipeg finished fifth right now, just all things being equal. Because these things happen. These ebbs and flows happen. We were just talking about the Hamilton Tiger Cats with Zach Collaros. How about the BC Lions with Nathan Rourke the first time around? That was another one. They're unstoppable. They're 8-0, 8-1, whatever, scoring a zillion points a game, playing pinball. And then Nathan Rourke goes down. Then he's playing in the NFL. Then he's not playing in the NFL. Gets into one preseason game. Now he's back. Now he's ejecting Vernon Adams from the position. But the truth is, BC has never been the same.
No.
Since he went down. And Hamilton has never been the same since Zach went down.
No, and very, very interesting points. And I mean, Nathan Rourke, BC Lions, the saga. Yes, they had a great chance with him. He had a great year. You had to suspect that he was going to go find other opportunities, right? Which is the NFL. But it's interesting to see when you have a change like this happen. Like, you have a Nathan Rourke move on, and now it's going to take 4 to 5 years for the organization to recover from that first time that he left, which is what this is going to come down to. They're finally at a maybe profitable point now. They're getting more people in the seats. They're looking healthier as an organization. Yeah. Next year is going to be a major one, second year of a bit of a top end rebuild and all of this other stuff. Now, a big hypothetical change here. And it's interesting we get to talk about this while Joe is not here because he would be very, very against what we're going to talk about right now. But the hypothetical is out there. Toronto has an opening at head coach. Mike O'Shea, friends with pinball. Mike O'Shea sees the downslope that is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the quote-unquote dynasty, fake dynasty. I don't know faux dynasty. I don't know what you want to call it, but with this team slowly going down the slope here, and I think year over year, like you said, wouldn't be surprised to see Winnipeg fifth place. I was saying that about this year, so I do believe, and I think a lot of people can see this, there is a very noticeable decline in Winnipeg. So therefore, if you're Mike O'Shea, do you want to go to where you are maybe even overqualified for? Maybe you have other opportunities as well, but to go to an organization that you truly love, the organization that you've maybe always wanted to coach for potentially, I think that possibility exists, which means we may see a little bit of a coaching carousel this offseason as well.
Wow, really? Wow.
Ryan Dinwiddie with Ottawa Redblacks, I mean, him taking that head coach and GM role, and I believe he's doing offensive coordinator as well. That starts the spin. And, maybe Rick Campbell wants to get back into coaching. Maybe head coaching anyways. Maybe somebody else wants that Toronto vacancy. Maybe somebody's going to go over to Winnipeg to go be the head coach. Because as of right now, I don't really truly believe anybody's going to get promoted out of that system. But hey, I could be wrong, right? You usually want proven people in these spots, and Winnipeg's going to want to try to maintain relevancy to avoid another 29-year drought.
Wow, 29 years. Wow, damn, you are doom and gloom. All right. Well, okay. We're going to talk about, of course, the main event, the Grey Cup, but First, I'm glad I had you here, right? This is a fortuitous thing. This is kind of like the CFL commissioner giving the State of the League address.
Even though that was canceled this year, by the way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, sure. He didn't want to take the questions. He didn't want to take the questions after the press conference. But
can't handle the heat in Winnipeg.
Nope. Definitely not. No. These rule changes are not popular with anybody, as far as I can tell. And that's the last time this dude has been seen in public. It feels like another Teflon commissioner situation, except this dude actually wants to do the job. He just wants to stay out of the limelight. So it's pretty obvious why he decided to cancel that. I'm not surprised. But I wanted to ask you about Shotgun Sports Network. Now, what is the idea of the Shotgun Sports Network?
Nice.
What's the mission statement?
I feel like I signed up to be publicly lambasted right now.
What? Not by me. Not by me.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Shotgun Sports Network, man. You're a part of it. Joe is a part of it. Mike Dandria, some fine Americans, Ryan Messer. Shotgun Sports Network is your source for quality sports content by fans. That's kind of like our mission statement, and then another one for fans from fans. What we do is we report and talk about our teams, and we also do professional media as well, mostly behind the lens, but we do interviews and whatnot. But basically, it is a collective of like-minded sports fans that want to increase exposure of these sports and these leagues, and then of course while doing so have some fun as well. So work with great partners, just kind of provide a network where you don't have to feel like you're working in order to provide content. You know what I mean? Like, we want to have fun. This for me today is an absolute blast. I don't ever get to do other shows in this kind of capacity. So the fact that I was invited over to Rouge, White, and Blue for an episode, even though I'm Canadian, it makes my heart very warm. I'm glad to provide to the ratio here. But, overall, man, like it's all about getting awesome, like-minded fans together and having some fun making content, which is what we've done. And, for our show, the Elks Call, let's say, from that, a lot of CBC interviews. Our show is also on Edmonton Sports Talk as well. So it kind of helps us get into the sports community as well. And we get to know people. We get to talk to guests, kind of get some opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't. But it's all in the name of just bringing sports fans closer together to their favorite teams. And, hey, sometimes us personalities as well. You guys with Rouge, White, and Blue, I believe this is season number 11 this year.
10 or 11, yeah.
10 or 11, yeah. Like,
past 300 episodes, so that's all I know. We came in, we started right before the playoffs in the year that your guys won.
Yeah.
So however long that is. I'm sorry, I don't want to put it in that context for you.
No, so this would be 10 years. Yeah, this would be 10
years. A long while, yeah. A long while, yeah. This will be our 10th Grey Cup, I guess. Okay. All right, great. Well, sounds good. And next year we'll have a fantasy league, right?
Oh, yeah, Shotgun Sports Fantasy League. We were actually, I want to say we had one or 2 years ago, so I don't know why that didn't get renewed. But yes,
wow.
We will have an SSN league this year. Maybe we'll include a little trophy for that. I think that'd be cool.
Oh, a trophy even! Wow,
be great. I mean, I
like bragging rights actually.
Hey, the trophy makes it worth just a little bit more, right? But yeah, I mean, shotgunsportsnetwork.ca. I don't think we will be reporting the fantasy league directly on the website, but the website is where you can find all of our shows on the network, Shotgun Sports Network, LTD on YouTube as well, which is where this episode is posted. Big shout out to your viewers as well. Shotgun Sports Network is all about adding on to what's already existing. And if it's your show, by no means is our network trying to absorb that or anything. We're just trying to give you guys another platform. And it's great to see the interaction you guys get on YouTube, yourself and Joe. We try to share over to the American pages as well. There are great CFL fans in America. It's crazy. They have an online group on Facebook and they have like 5,000 to 6,000 people there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. So great contingency, and to see Grey Cup watch parties, even what is it? I think I saw one. Is it Hungary? CFL fans from Hungary or something?
Yeah, there you go. That's where I am.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
There might be a Grey Cup watch party near you, Oz.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's gonna be at my place on Monday. Take the day off. Okay. So I've noticed this lately, and this is one of the things I've noticed since starting the Rouge, White, and Blue. Okay. Thanks to fantasy, right? And thanks to the opening up of gambling, the fandom, the fan base from America in June and July and part of August is nuts. The only problem is, I mean, people really get into it. Americans really get into it. The only problem is that, once college starts, once pro starts, they lose like 80, 90% of those people. Now, those people tend to come back for the playoffs and the Grey Cup.
Right.
But part of the problem is this insane deal with CBS Network, where they're burying the CFL on this American, this third-rate streaming service that is impossible to find and nobody would ever pay for. So they're burying it there. Now the playoffs tend to be on a wider format. They tend to be on a wider, platform. And there's a lot more interest in the betting on that because they open up the markets. In a lot of American sports books for CFL games, all you can get are the basics, right? Well, everybody wants to lose their money in more creative ways. So you gotta offer player props. You have to offer alternate lines and stuff like this. And only for the playoffs and the Grey Cup do they do this. Does the sports book really do this? So it's a big draw in these parts of the year. If they had a better I mean, look, the thing is, I'm out here in Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
It is 10 times easier, 100 times easier for me to watch CFL football than it is for an American.
And that's so weird. Like, I mean, CFL Plus was supposed to mitigate these problems, right? With having CFL Plus, Americans could watch for free. But then if the game is on CBS, then Americans can watch. But if you're in Hungary,
and how are you supposed to know?
Exactly.
How are you supposed to know? It's like, I mean, it's also like, actually, this is no stranger because it's the same thing with the NBA platform, and it's the same thing with the NFL platform. The NFL is broadcasted out here on a platform called DAZN, DAZN.com. And I'll tell you what, there are some games in America now that only show on Amazon TV. Not for me. I can see exactly what you're seeing, but without the commercials. Okay? I've even got, again, just like the CFL package, I've got a better deal than you all have in North America. Oh. I mean, it's just like, I've got Red Zone, I've got, 4-in-1 boxes. I can do whatever I want on DAZN.com.
But the problem now is that, and I do believe we will see this hit the CFL. I think the talks
good. Started,
right?
Good.
Like Amazon, Amazon's going to get in there. They're going to do their own services, right? CBS obviously jumped on within the last 3 years, which has been beneficial. But then the problem now is, okay, well, if all of these apps are all kind of battling each other, right? It does diversify your product a bit, sure. But in the CFL's case, I think that it could limit it a bit too. Because CFL is already something that is not in crazy demand. It's not like NFL where you have millions and millions of people watching on Sundays. CFL is from Canadian viewership. They're lucky to see 400 to 500K or whatever, right?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is that's the problem is as soon as they lost the ESPN contract, that was it. That was it. Because you used to be able to stream it. You could stream it anytime for like a week afterwards, full game, American commercials, but oh well, you take it.
So what if it's on the Ocho?
Right. And it's football. And you're combining that with the betting and stuff and the fantasy, and people are into it. That was the thing. This if it were on like the regular CBS streaming platform, the Paramount thing, whatever they have, that would be fine too. That would be fine. You can get people to watch that. But that's the thing is that it'd be great for Amazon to land this contract, but only for existing fans. You're not going to get anybody with that. You're not going to draw any new fans with that.
Which is part of the argument for Stuart Johnston making these changes in the next couple of years, right? Is to be able to fit your field within soccer stadiums, diversify your product in that way, but then also cut down on the quote unquote cheesy rules and cut down on the quote unquote amateur looks by moving the goalposts and just doing everything short of introducing a fourth down. No, I can't.
Wow. See, that's Joe's take on the whole thing is that basically this whole thing is about evolving the game to look like the American game and who knows, maybe merger. And, the NFL has wanted that Toronto market forever.
Well, and it sets it up, right? It's tough as a fan. I mean, we'll spend a minute here, but it's tough as a fan to look at it any other way. Now, yes, somebody has put a graph up there and said, look, here's the American rules. Here's the Canadian rules. We've only really, Americanized 3 things out of like 20 to 30 or whatever, right? But it's
so
far you're creeping towards it, and it does look some type of way. You can't really deny that, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, do I think that it's going to result in more scoring or bigger plays or more excitement? No, there's a reason why I watch 3-down football personally. I like 3-down the way that it is. I like the Rouge. I've celebrated the Rouge for so many years, and people hate the Rouge. I know Milt Stiegel is not a big fan of the Rouge, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all of those little things that make the Canadian game Canadian, and I know that they're trying really hard to find American viewers and to find more people that will tune into their product, but it's a gate-driven league, and you need more Canadians to walk into the Canadian stadiums. I think that's the black and white of it. Is maybe if the CFL was marketed harder in cities like Abbotsford and Fort McMurray and Quebec City and all these other places that don't have teams, maybe if you market to those people and make your product like a big event like it used to be, make it something that your entire province would celebrate, or make it, something your region celebrated, whatever. You look at Saskatchewan, they don't have any NFL, NHL, MLB, AAA, any of that, right? Like they don't have much except for either West Coast League or WCBL, and of course, I guess they do have the Golden
Lacrosse.
Yeah,
they have the lacrosse now too. But the truth is, come on,
it's true.
You see this in America all the time. The first team that you get, that's the team that's your favorite forever. The Broncos in Denver, the Thunder in Oklahoma City now. Forever. If Oklahoma City ever gets anything else, it's always the first one. Always the first one.
I agree.
That wins your heart. And in the case of the riders, I mean, hell, they say that 50% of all the paraphernalia sold is riders.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course they have the biggest fan base. That's their team. That's their thing, right?
They don't have anything else, except like you said, this is on Rush. So
which is great because they only win the championship like every 27 years or so.
Hey, that's more different than the Riders win championships. Unfortunately, yes, they are right up against it here right away, and
Yep.
they might come out of the West and take it all.
Could be this year. All right. So let's see. Here we go. All right. Ready? Grey Cup. And I just want to, I want to brag. I've said this on the show, but I'm going to brag to you because I don't know if you've heard yet. I picked this at the beginning of the year. This was my Grey Cup prediction at the beginning of the year.
Wild.
Alouettes, Riders. Here we go. All right. So, flashback to 2009? Probably not. That game was 28-27. I'm thinking 18-17 this year. I'm still thinking about who I'm going to take to win as I'm talking right now. Let's see. Okay, so these two teams have played twice this season. However, the first one was McLeod Bethel Thompson's first start, and the Riders won 34-6. The second game came after the last meaningful game that the Owls lost. And so McLeod Bethel Thompson actually came back from injury and led us to a 48-31 win. But despite this evidence to the contrary, I don't think that the Riders scored 30 points here. Okay.
No, you don't think they're going to get 30?
No. Here's why. All right. Here's just the simple numbers. All right. Defense wins championships. Here we go. We got a great game coming. Points allowed. In terms of points allowed. Riders defense is number 1. Owls is number 4. Okay. Not awesome. Passing defense. Riders number 1. Rushing defense. Owls number 1. Yards allowed. Owls number 1. Riders number 2. On top of that, I'll also throw in this statistic. The very, very, very early weather forecast says that it will be between -1 and -4 Celsius, or 22 to 31 Fahrenheit. So I'm thinking lots of defense. What are your immediate thoughts here, Scout?
I think it's going to be a game of rushing. I think the cold weather will impact both teams, but I think it's going to impact the Montreal Alouettes a little bit worse than Saskatchewan. I don't think Montreal has really had to play in freezing cold games yet. This team as a group anyways. Obviously, the Darnell Sankeys, the Sean Lemons, the certain players on those teams. Yeah, exactly. These guys have done this before. Yeah. I don't even remember if Austin Mack has really played in many chilly ones. So I think that Montreal will be a little bit out of their element. I do think that this is going to be a lot of rushing, and I do think that, like you said, yes, defense is going to be a massive factor. I do think that this is going to be more of like a 27-25.
Really? Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a wide open. I think that scoring will happen, and then obviously in the fourth quarter, I think it'll be a little bit more of a showdown than last year's Grey Cup, which great conditions. You're in a dome. That was BC Place. That was Toronto Argonauts versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the game was pretty much done by the third quarter. Like the moment was just crazy for Toronto last year in this game. But
Galeras lost half his index finger, right? So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
that was part of the problem.
I've never seen that where a guy has to come in and wear a glove, and then of course everything just trash after that. But
oh my god, yeah. But this is the thing: is that okay? So I wouldn't normally mind because on rushing defense, the Riders were 7th. Now, of course, a lot of times this is because the Riders were up, and so but in any case, I don't know. Stevie Scott, he's had a couple of triple-digit games this season, but his last game was a monster game there against Winnipeg. But I don't know. I don't see a lot of production there. I don't really think the Owls rank pretty low on passing defense. But again, I even put this back to Davis Alexander. The truth was there were a lot of games when they were losing the time of possession battle 36-24, 38-22, and stuff like this because Bethel Thompson could not keep them, off the field. He could not keep his offense on the field, I should say. So again, I think that I think both of these defenses are going to be playing on high. Now, we talked before about, Trevor Harris. Has he ever been close? It's good with Ottawa. I was looking up Davis Alexander today. Okay. Davis Alexander played his college career with the Portland State Vikings, who never made the FCS, the Division II, basically, playoffs the entire time he was the starter. So I can't go to this for the tiebreaker. So I don't know. I guess, okay, I'm going to go with 18-17, but I guess I don't know. Do I go with my heart or my head? What are you picking? What is your prediction for this?
Yeah. I'm in the exact same position, man. I want to select Montreal, but that would be with like this one could go either way. I think it could go 27-22 or 27-25 either way. Sorry.
Right.
With my heart, I'm picking Montreal mostly because I'm just not the biggest Saskatchewan fan, not the biggest fan of those guys. I'm also not going to deny what they are, but you take a look at both of these teams through the season, and they're remarkably close. Like 1 week, Saskatchewan will post 37 and Montreal will post 17. The next, Montreal post 20. Saskatchewan, we'll say Saskatchewan was on a bye, but then the following, Saskatchewan post 10. You know what I mean? So it's like both of these teams can have a bad game, and both of these teams can have a good game. Montreal, they're usually on the higher end of the spectrum for scoring, but then all of a sudden they score 6 in an entire game. That's 6 against Saskatchewan at 34, right? And that was in Montreal. The flip side of it is, like we saw another
Bethel Thompson.
Well, but the 48-31, right? The 48-31 at Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So these teams, they can beat each other in whatever fashion on any given week. Like you said, I don't think we're going to see that 48 number by any means in this game. I also don't think that it's going to be a game featuring impotent offenses. The defenses on teams are good. I think that these offenses will find a way to get it going. I don't think they're going to get it going in the first quarter. I think the second quarter is where we're going to start to see things pick up.
Yeah, of course.
The Grey Cup is always a nerves fest.
Yeah, any one of these championship football games, the first quarter is going to be your lowest scoring quarter. Plus, Corey Mace has been calling very conservative games lately.
Mm-hmm.
Montreal last time, like I said before, Montreal last time is seeing trick plays. They're seeing like bizarre calls by the offense. I don't think the Riders are going to be doing this again. This is a guy who punted. This is a guy who kicked the field goal with 2:45 left. So
we're not going to see massive gambles, right? I don't.
No, certainly not in the first half. Probably. I mean, Jesus. Okay, so Montreal last time was 6-3. The Riders were 7-4. So I would not at all be surprised if the halftime score was something like that. 6-4, 7-3, something like that.
I was thinking it's 6-3, like we just saw this last week.
Yeah, again, whatever. Well, I'll tell you what, if it comes down to field goals, I like my guys.
Yeah.
I like the Owls.
Could you imagine the season ends for Saskatchewan off a bad Brett Lothar boot? Like, that poor man would be chased out of Hicksville so freaking fast out there in Regina.
Well, it depends if they're back next year, right? Because they forgot about 13th man pretty quickly. You can redeem yourself. No, seriously. I mean, pick your case. There's been lots of cases like this where, Casey may strike out, but he gets to come back in April. and and redeem himself. And there have been cases of that. We've seen some. We've seen some in professional sports. So, yeah, he might not be with the Riders when they do win the championship in 2026. But, I mean, all right. Well, what the hell? I do not have the lines yet. It's still too early for the sports books to have posted the lines on this game. I would suspect that the Owls are going to be getting 4 or so in this game, 3 or 4, I would guess. So I would definitely take the Alouettes with the points, but God, I can't imagine. I mean, the thing is, with every game Davis Alexander wins, the odds against him winning the next one become that much longer, right? So you have to figure this streak is going to end when. I can imagine the scenario when the Riders win the game and he's not on the field. They win at the last second. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go Riders in a close one. Let's say 20-18.
20-18. You're going for Riders. 20-18.
Yeah. Reverse jinx. Here it is.
Yeah, I like it.
But realistically speaking, I'll take the Riders. I'll take the Riders, but I think the Owls cover the spread. I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, I have no reason to disagree with that. I mean, the only difference is, I would say Montreal is going to get the win, but you're using your brains. I'm using my heart. So
great. Thank you.
That's a big difference.
Well, I'm using my wallet, so again, I'm gonna take the Owls to cover. That satisfies everything. But I'll take the Owls plus the points. That way, they lose in a close one, I'm still happy. But if they win, I win. So.
And I mean, something worth noting, I am looking at the odds, and the odds are still.
Oh, great!
No, you are correct. The odds are still outdated, but going into the season. Quick to remind everybody here that the Hamilton Tiger Cats were a plus 1,400 to win the Grey Cup. And I mean, they made it within plus 300. Now, BC Lions and Saskatchewan Roughriders, both plus 600, with Montreal Alouettes plus 350, having the best odds to win the Grey Cup at the beginning of the season. So that's crazy on those odds alone. Wow. The fact that, Montreal stayed true to the course and they at least are now within 50-50 odds technically.
That's what I always say, okay? Even if you don't gamble, it pays to look at the lines. Here's why. Bo Levi-Mitchell is signed for this amount of money. He goes out there, he loses, he gets smoked, he wins, he crushes the opposition. He gets the same amount of money, okay? If you're a sports book and you get it wrong, you pay, right? So it is worth paying attention. It is in these guys' interest who are dealing with a lot of money to get it right.
Yep.
Okay? And they don't actually have to go out there and throw the ball. They just have to, think about it. Exactly. So it is worth paying attention to the odds, to the point spreads, to the over-unders. It is worth paying attention to. So I would advise that. Pay attention to the lines. I would be shocked if the over-under were more than 40. I would suspect it's probably going to be around 38.5. Scout says take the over in such a situation. I would still be tempted to take the under. And again, I'm saying take the Owls plus the points because I think they will be the underdog. Right. Okay. So, Scout, where can folks see your stuff? Where can they hear you? Where can they see you?
So you can find our show, our Edmonton Elks show called The Elks Call right here on Shotgun Sports Network. If you are watching this episode of Rouge, White, and Blue, you can find that on Shotgun Sports Network on YouTube, and then which is the same spot you'll find the Elks Call. And then wherever you have a social media account, you can find us at the Elks Herd. all one word, no spaces, couple caps in there, but at the Elks Herd, you can find us online. And one more thing I did want to note, 41-24 was last year's Grey Cup score odds. So we'll see what they post the over-under at the...
Well, it's going to be less than 65. I think last year the over-under was something like 40. Because I remember remarking that Toronto did it themselves. It wasn't that high. Certainly nobody suspected 65 points last year in Las Vegas. So, but in any case, okay, well, let's log it off. I thank Scott of the Elks Call of the Shotgun Sports Network for joining me. My name is Oz Davis. This has been the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. Enjoy the Grey Cup and good luck. We will talk to you next